Ballz. What's going on, guys? This is your man, Real Deal, Steele, coming to you live. Good to see you guys. Going up on a Thursday night, out of sight, feeling all right. We got a lots to talk about tonight. Interesting things to talk about, provocative things to talk about, and humorous things to talk about. All bringing it to you here live tonight. And who do we got up in the room? We've got Mama Crypto. We've got Adana Tabucci. We got Anthony Grant. We've got RW. We've got Alan Schneider, Josh Randell, Disavows, Cray Cray Astro Spray, Caster Troy, Zombie Doge Army, and Scott Herforth, Pat Lee, Erectile, or Reptile, of course, Richard Powell. The list goes on. Lisa Timmerman. Hey there. Triple Distilled. Good to see you guys. Before we get started, if I could just ask you to smash that like button. I want you to smash that like button like you'd smash your childhood celebrity crush. Immediately. It's the number one thing you can do to help out a channel like this and get it up into those tricky YouTube algorithms. Secondly, if you're brand new here, I would like to personally welcome you. My name's Steele. You're watching Steele Live. I'd like to invite you to join our awesome, growing, eccentric community. Link up with us, be a part of the vision, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit all on that notification bell. And if you are already subscribed, hit all on that notification bell, each and every one of you. And then lastly, if you feel compelled to super chat anytime throughout the show tonight, that's obviously appreciated for my time and efforts. And feel free to ask whatever questions or comments that you may have for myself or my co-host. Speaking of which, it is time to introduce the man who's had a plan since 2014. It's Dogecoin millionaire, Nick Ballz. What's up, Nick?
Hey, that's me.
Hey, that's you, buddy. That's you.
What's up?
What's going on?
Oh, you know, Steven, just hanging out, going up on a Thursday. I was in Papa Upshad's live a little earlier, which he will be here tomorrow, and I saw a few of our friendly faces from the show in there this afternoon. I saw Rock Lobster in the chat earlier today. Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of I'd say out of any other content creator, there's probably the most overlap between the audience here and then Upshot, I would say.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because every time I manage to tune into an Upshot live cast, I see so many of our people over there. it's wild. It's good to see though, and it makes sense. So guys, yes, Upshot will be the featured guest tomorrow night here at 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Upshot will be in the hizza, so you definitely do not want to miss that. So what's going on? There's a lot of anxiety right now about what's going on with the market. People having a lot of different thoughts about it. And I think a lot of people just trying to sort it out, not quite sure what to make of it. Certain sectors of media are responding pretty hysterically to it. Here we have The Independent, which is out of the UK. Headline, these darn pop-up menus. Crypto prices crash as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, and other coins plunge in value. The crypto market is suffering a small crash, which has dragged down all the biggest cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin fell nearly 7% over the day. Ethereum was down more than 10%. All other smaller currencies, such as Doge, were hit even harder. The meme crypto lost more than 10% over the day. It goes on and on, Nick. So we've seen a lot of the press reacting this way. It is true, though, that Dogecoin did get, now it is an overall market thing, but it is true that Dogecoin did get walloped a little bit harder than most of the other top 10 yesterday. Is there anything in particular you would attribute that to?
Well, it seemed like Doge and ETH got hit equally.
Yes, and I
Like
pointed that out.
percentage.
Yes, great point.
Yeah, percentage to percentage, Doge and Ethereum took the brunt of it.
Right.
Surprisingly, Binance held up like the best out of all of them. Same with, I guess, XRP as well. But yeah, it definitely, Doge and Ethereum were the two big losers in the top 10 for this week, at least.
For this week, right? Yeah, that's a pretty good point, because this is something I pointed out yesterday, because I saw a lot of reactions that said, this is the beginning of the end. Doge is done. Doge is crashing harder than everything else up on the top. And I was just started looking around, and I discovered pretty quickly what you just mentioned there. I said, now, wait a minute. Now, hold on. Ethereum seems to be matching Doge pretty consistently lately. In fact, I would say Doge has been mirroring Ethereum more than Bitcoin lately. And even though we're seeing that expressed in more of a disadvantaged way right now, I do think this is a good sign to see a Doge kind of maybe the beginning of it starting to march to the beat of the Ethereum drum, maybe even more than the Bitcoin drum. We'll see how it shakes out. But I noticed the same thing you did yesterday. So yesterday, Doge was down about 10% for the day. Ethereum was down about 10% for the day. And when you look at its daily charting for the last couple of days, it's nearly identical. I mean, nearly identical. For those who contend that Doge is done due to its latest market downturn, by that logic, you are also concluding that Ethereum is done. And, well, listen to how absurd that sounds. You really think Ethereum is done? I think saying that Ethereum is done is just as absurd as saying Doge is done. Anthony Grant coming in with a $5 super chat. This is a sell-off of liquidity. Big money losing. Gotta pay up. No lies detected, Anthony Grant, and thank you for starting things off with a nice $5 super chat. First super chat of the night. I love it. Donna Tabucci. Good to hear from you, Donna. It's been a little bit. Coming out with a generous super chat of $25. Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you for that. She says, this is for Nick's hot girlfriend. How about that, Nick? You got to thank your girlfriend for me. Now,
I certainly will.
Your girlfriend indirectly helping to pay my cell phone and internet bills. So, yeah, definitely give her a big thanks from me too. That is funny, man. That is funny. So, yeah, wouldn't you agree with that? People contending that Doge is dead due to what's going on with the market right now, it makes about as much sense as saying Ethereum is dead.
Well, with what we know with the upcoming Doge ETH bridge, I would agree, and I think that I would much rather have our price in lockstep with Ethereum than with Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And if that means that we're going to take a bigger hit when Ethereum takes a bigger hit, I am absolutely fine with that. Mm-hmm. I would rather be following Ethereum than following Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. I think this is actually kind of a silver lining, frankly, even though they've been marching, even though I know they've been marching more the beat of the same drum. Now, right now, we're seeing it expressed in more negatively with the recent downturn, but the whole market's down. And the fact that Ethereum and Doge are down a little bit more than the rest of them this week, to me, it's neither here nor there. Likely next week, it will rotate with one of the others in the top 10 taking the mantle for the one that's being the most down. And that's how these things usually work. But considering the future that we know is ahead for both Ethereum and Dogecoin related to each other, don't you think this is more advantageous for Dogecoin if it begins to more mimic the charting and market value pacing of Ethereum over Bitcoin?
I think in the short term, as we're seeing right now, obviously with price action where it is, it's not necessarily we see it as not necessarily a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But as Papa Upshot always says, you got to zoom out. And to more than, I think when he says a lot of times zoom out, meaning look back in time to get a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people fail to realize when you zoom out, you also have to kind of mentally make a projection forward in time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, with the data that you've collected over the last 12 months or 2 years or whatever it may be, it gives you a better idea of where the market is heading long term. So many people I've noticed in the past 2 days, and this is like a lot of people come to me for advice all day. And if you're most, I can almost guarantee you, most people in the Doge community, and no fault to them, have been here for less than 12 months.
Yes.
And if you've been here for less than 12 months, you shouldn't be worried at all.
Mm-hmm.
Get through a year, get through 1 year, because then at least you're outside of your short-term capital gains requirements. And in that year, you'll have, how many opportunities have we had now to buy Doge cheaply? You had 3 months to buy it for 6 cents.
Yes.
You've had 3 months to buy it for, anywhere from 16 to 20 cents.
Yes.
We've had multiple opportunities here, and I see them as opportunities and not as horrible, bad news. I think I think that we should just accommodate the movements of crypto because it's erratic,
mm-hmm.
and embrace it and be hopeful going forward.
Yeah, really well stated. Guys, for those of you who are on Twitter, if I could ask you just to retweet this live stream so your fellow community members can see that we are live. It really does help. I'm just going to post a link to that in the chat. So for those of you who are on Twitter, if you could consider at least taking a moment to do that, it'd be really appreciated. It really does help. Rock Lobster says, nailed it, Nick. Oh, I would tend to agree. That's why he's my co-host, guys. So going on to another article here was through Yahoo Finance. Dogecoin succumbs to selling pressure as altcoins feel the heat. All of the top 10 cryptocurrencies are trading in the red today, including Dogecoin, which has not been able to withstand the pressure in the broader market. Dogecoin isn't off to a great start in July, having shaved 15% from its value so far this month, including a 9% decline in the last 24 hours. Dogecoin appears to have swept up in the broader crypto market downturn as altcoins in general are getting hit. The consensus on social media channels is that Dogecoin is just following Bitcoin lower in sympathy. Some investors are blaming the emergence of Dogecoin spin-offs for the selling pressure, saying the rise of other dog-related coins looking to ride the coattails of the original Doge, in addition to a few confusing Elon Musk tweets, is dividing the market. So this is an interesting point that is brought up in this article, and it's something that's interesting and fair to consider with what's going on right now. It's kind of a difficult metric to gauge, isn't it? I put out a poll yesterday. Of course, this is completely unscientific, but it does give a gauge, at least for a slice of the Doge community, our community. And in that poll, I asked this: honestly, how much of your portfolio is invested in BSC tokens?
I saw this poll. I didn't actually participate.
Okay, well, these results were pretty interesting, actually. I didn't expect this. So the overwhelming majority said 10% or less, which in my opinion is probably it's comes as no surprise. It's what when I do speak of BSC tokens. Most people that are regular listeners understand pretty clearly my position is on them. I am for them to a degree. I'm not anti BSC tokens. But it's also important from my perspective that the viewers here and people understand that when you engage in these kind of investments, they are higher risk. They are high risk, high reward, even more so than the rest of the crypto market. So number one, it's very important that people understand that, just so they know what they're getting themselves into. And number two, I always talk about just making sure it's not eating up too much of your portfolio. There's always exceptions to that rule, and some people, now and again, somebody will risk it for the biscuit, and it will work out for them. And more power to those people. But overall, I'm saying that's my perspective, and that's what I feel to be the most sage advice. So getting back to this poll, 59% said 10% or less of their investments were in BSC tokens, 10%, 10 to 20%, 30 to 40% of people's portfolio in BSC tokens, 6%. Now get this, Nick, this is the surpriser. 40% or more, 25% of respondents said that 40% or more of their portfolio were invested in BSC tokens. I did not quite expect that strong of a result on the 40% or more mark. So it seems that either people, just from this slice anyway, of the polling, that people are either not, they're investing very little in BSC tokens or not at all, or they're going really heavy in and not much in between. Not much in between. Your thoughts?
I actually just participated in the poll myself, so I could get the results. I, of course, said 10% or less because I don't even think I have 1% in BSC tokens. But with that being said, I would 25% of people are if you click 25%, I'm sorry, if you're in the 25% who clicked 40% or more, you are a gambling addict and you should go seek help. And these people have no, like, the people who have 40% of their overall investments in BSC projects, if you should be banned from ever posting something like, why is Doge down, or why is this, like, why are top 10 coins down? Get out of here. You're a gambling addict. Go get help. Like, BSCs are fun. You know, they're a fun distraction from normality. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you're going to the casino. And I actually somebody asked me on Twitter today. I can't remember who it was. They were asking about some BSC project and, like, trying to get the understanding of, like, is this a good investment? Is there money to be made? I'm like, bro, you are gambling. Yeah, you can go to the casino and you can win money, but you shouldn't be going to the casino and expecting to win money. That's not how that works. Normally, in most scenarios, the casino always wins. That's how a lot of BSCs are set up. The house will always win. That's just how I personally feel about them. Not to say that there's not a handful of good BSC projects out there, but they are the exception and not the rule. And I feel like a lot of BSC projects are straight up gambling. And most of them will not be here in several years. I can guarantee you.
Yeah, most of them. I agree with you almost entirely there. I guess my only point of slight disagreement would be, I think that the BSC market, the odds are a bit better than a casino, provided you're somebody that's very on top of stuff. Very on top of stuff.
That's the thing, though, Steven. The people who just from reading Twitter. Now my opinion might be skewed or might be polluted by the people from Twitter, but the people who put more than they're willing to lose into BSC projects and more than 40% of their portfolio is taken up by BSC projects seem to be the people who don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just me. That might might just be me. But it seems like a majority of people, because it's attractive, quick exponential gains are attractive to people who don't know how money works. Mm-hmm. And those are the people who more easily than not get burned. I feel like. I might be wrong.
I think overall that's a truism. Yeah. Erectile Reptile coming in with a $10 super chat. Just getting straight to the facts. Thank you, Erectile. Always great to see you, my friend. Fact. Tsunamis could travel up to 5 miles per second. I learned that today and didn't believe it, but it's true. It's true. Tsunamis can travel up to 5 miles per second? Did you know this was possible, Nick?
Oh yeah. I sometimes I get sucked into YouTube tsunami holes. Mm-hmm. I love water and everything to do with like the ocean. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I watch like that. There was that one that happened in Japan a while back, and that one that happened in Indonesia. It's crazy, man. When you see the ocean just like you're on the beach, and all of a sudden the ocean just moves out like really fast. It's just the water just goes away. You have like 2 minutes to get to a safe place. It's crazy how tsunamis just come out of nowhere. It's nuts.
Yeah. I see. I didn't know that was possible for a tsunami to travel that quickly and that light speed short of time. Practically, that is wild to me. Huff coming in with a super chat of some Hungarian dollars. Thank you. 42p. Go ahead. What's up, Nick?
This guy has sent me this exact comment before. On a private message on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, and so for those who don't know, I'm Hungarian, and can I read this comment?
Yeah, by all means.
Okay. Hey Steve, hey Nick, good news. Hungarian Wisla Inu just got listed on CMC, and it is on its way to Sirius. I would be glad to see you send you some. Hungarian word for moon is hold, which is actually true. The Hungarian word for moon is hold. But this token and these exchanges might as well be Hungarian to me because I've never heard of them. But yeah, this is a Hungarian Doge knockoff. So if you think Doge knockoffs exist in all shapes, sizes, and countries.
I mean, it sounds like he might be directly involved with the project. I mean, congrats. But I'm not going to deny a free bag. Feel free. Yeah. Feel free. Inbox us, and we'll take some Hungarian knockoff Doge, sure. But thank you.
Goulash Inu.
Goulash Inu. Well stated. But thank you for the super chat, my friend, and thanks for tuning in. Someone says, have you seen Upcoin? Wow, major gains. Yes, major gains for Upcoin today. I don't know what you attribute it to. I kind of am regretting not getting any Upcoin. It was something that it was on my list of things to do, but I have been pretty strapped for capital lately, so that was pretty much the main reason, only reason why I haven't invested in Upcoin. Otherwise, I would have picked up
tomorrow. And can we beg Papa Upshot for some?
Sure.
All right, I got an Upcoin wallet today.
Okay, right on. Yeah,
you have one?
No, but I'm pretty sure it's fairly easy for me just to add.
It didn't work for me on
Trust Wallet.
Trust Wallet. I had to do it through MetaMask.
Oh God. If I have to open up a MetaMask in addition to Trust Wallet, that might be a deal breaker for me. Donna Tabucci coming in with a huge generous super chat of $49.99. Thank you so much, Donna, for your continued generous support of the program. Really appreciate it. Honestly, it makes all the difference.
Love you, Donna.
Yes, definitely. Okay, people, Steven and Nick put a lot of time and energy in providing us great crypto info. I've learned quite a bit for them. Hit that super chat. Well, geez, Donna, I'm not going to dispute your plea for the to the rest of the audience. I don't know what else to add to that, but thank you so much, Donna. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your support and your enthusiasm and your continuous tuning in of the show. Thank you, Donna. Always good to see you. So kind of getting back to this topic, it is still pretty hard to look at the data available to us so far anyway, and to be able to conclude how much of the small BSC market and the Doge spinoff, Doge token spinoffs are eating into what would be Doge, the OG Dogecoin investments. It's a very hard metric to
you can't
conclude
There's
off
no
of.
way to measure that. There's no way.
I would say this, and then I would love your thoughts on it. I would say this: when the market is doing poorly, people stray more, people play around more, people get distracted more, people are looking for something to go up when everything else is standing still or going down. I think there's just a certain element of just human nature to that I don't think is ever going to change. However, I do feel on the next real bull run that we have, a lot of the tokens right now that are kind of, in bubbles or attention at the moment are going to immediately fall to the wayside. And as people get refocused onto the more established, more utility-based coins. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously it's an impossible metric to measure. I think you kind of nailed it 100% on that one. Most people, when the market is low, they're going to look for opportunities elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And you're 100% correct. People are going to go to these BSC, 1000x projects or whatever, and they might win, they might lose. But what you have to be conscious of is when the market starts, when the main, top 10 market starts to take back off again, those BSCs are going to dry up. And you got to be ready for that. I think a lot of people who play in BSC land expect that gain train to keep on rolling. And just like with Doge, it's going to it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go up. It's all about timing. This whole crypto game is all about timing. And if you were good at playing like timing games when you were a kid, I don't know, I played a lot of Dance Dance Revolution in my younger days. You might have luck timing these things, but you can't count on it, and unless you're really good, because moving money from a BSC back to BNB, flipping the BNB for Bitcoin, and then flipping the Bitcoin for a main top 10 is a process. Mm-hmm. And BSC tokens in general bet on that process being difficult so that you are more willing to stick around.
Yes.
It's just like when you go to a casino and they give you free drinks.
Yes.
Same principle. So you have to be conscious of the fact that you're not going to instantly be able to transfer a BSC token into Bitcoin and then be able to make a Bitcoin flip like really quickly. So just be that when the tide shifts, be ready to shift with, and don't get caught up in the hype. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think that's really well stated in reference to the BSC market. When the tides do inevitably shift, don't be too stubborn. Be flexible. To be ready. and alert to be able to shift with it. I think that's really well stated. And also something I was thinking about recently, too, in light of the current landscape out there. Don't you think, to a certain degree, there's a significant element of blame game going on because the market's not doing well, because Dogecoin is, let's just face it, it's not doing well right now. So don't you think that there's a certain element of people lashing out, wanting one particular main source to blame? And so I think the altcoin market is becomes an easy target for that. At the end of the day, I do think that, and again, we don't have, it's impossible to gauge the absolute metrics on this, but I do think overall that the effect that your baby anywhere, baby Doge, mini Doge, those are the two that are actually doing quite well, actually. But then there's a zillion other of them. They're like, I saw Grandpa Doge, I saw Lady Doge, I saw Back Doge. It never ends. It's ridiculous. I was joking around with Samantha the other night about starting, what do we say? Chunky Doge, just like they have a fat Doge. But I think at the end of the day, the amount of money that this is directly taking from Dogecoin is probably rather insignificant. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the volume and money that's moved within these BSCs. I mean, the biggest Doge knockoff is probably Shiba Inu.
Yep.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it recently, but here, I'll take a look now. It's, number 29 in crypto top ranking.
Mm-hmm.
Its market cap is $3 billion. So, we're talking about, and that's the absolute biggest. I would say that let's say you put all of the Doge knockoffs in, minus Shiba Inu, put all the other Doge knockoffs in a bag together, they might equal Shiba Inu, like, all together. So, yeah, I mean, what are you talking about? $6 billion? Maybe, when you're talking about Dogecoin, which right now it's at its low point, it's $26 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really apples and oranges. And this is why I always tell people, like, for the same reason, like, why I wouldn't put money into Shiba Inu, like, like I've said before, my girlfriend wouldn't let me come home and bring her a fake Gucci handbag. There's no freaking way. Like,
right.
I'm gonna get her the real deal, or I'm not gonna get her it at all. Full transparency, I've been watching a lot of Sopranos recently. There might be a few like mafia references in tonight's episode.
Okay. Gotcha. I think we got another super chat from a Reptile. Yes, $5. Thank you, Reptile. Tiger King just had a nice spike, made $500 with that. Yeah, someone else mentioned that there was a big buy-in to the tune of, I think, $200,000 worth of Tiger King. So that's probably what did it. And when you're talking about a new coin with still as small of a market cap that it has right now, someone throwing 200 G's in there is going to have a significant impact. And that's that volume and liquidity thing going on, wherein, again, that ties into high risk, high reward, right? Because a $200,000 investment into something like the Tiger King coin can really give it a significant spike. Conversely, if someone were to take out $200,000 at once, it would have just as of a dramatic effect in a negative way too. So these are things I just share with you guys just to keep in mind as you go forward and you make your decisions. Not telling you guys what to do. What we're trying to do is just provide to you guys as much unbiased information is we're able to give you to be able to, for you guys to make your own decisions on what's best for you. I guess this dovetails nicely into the second topic here. Let me pull up a few articles that were recently written about it, and it's been, it's been getting a lot of press, and Matt Wallace has been getting a lot of press in relation to this. And to me,
you don't say, Stephen.
You don't say. I know. It's to me, it's just this whole thing is just rather funny and ridiculous. But Newsweek again came out with an article today. Dogecoin YouTuber Matt Wallace claims Joe Exotic thanked him for Tiger King coin push. Cryptocurrency YouTubers expressed surprise after Joe Exotic, the controversial focus of Netflix's Tiger King documentary, purportedly sent him a message from prison. Matt Wallace, a content creator who makes videos about Dogecoin cryptocurrency, said earlier this week that he was buying Tiger King coin cryptocurrency token. The team behind the cryptocurrency claims their token has been endorsed by Exotic, whose real name is Joseph Maldonado Passage. Did you know that?
I did.
I did not. Joseph Maldonado Passage. That's quite a mouthful. Maldonado Passage is currently serving 22 years in prison after being convicted of a murder for hire and other charges in January. Wallace tweeted that Maldonado Passage had sent him an audio message from prison and shared the clip. In the message, a person claiming to be Maldonado Passage thanks Wallace for his support of the Tiger King coin. And I don't know if you guys have listened to it, but I've listened to it. It definitely sounds like him. It sounds legit.
Oh, it's him.
It's definitely him. I double checked with Matt to confirm it. He said it is genuinely him. So this is pretty. It's just wild. It's just wild. I don't know how else to put it. Matt genuinely thinks that Joe Exotic is innocent. Other people contend that he's definitely not, and other people simply say that they're not sure. And I ran another poll on this. Last night because I just kind of wanted to get a pulse and the feel for where people were with this in this community anyway. And the results, again, were pretty interesting. I'm pulling them up momentarily here. I just said, do you think Tiger King is A, innocent, B, guilty, or C, unsure? 15% of people said he was innocent. 53 said guilty, but here's where it gets more interesting. 32% just said they weren't sure. So when you add that 32% with that 15%, that puts it about 47%. So you got about 47% of people who either contend that the Tiger King is either innocent or they're just not sure, and 53% guilty. Most people still think he's guilty within our circles, and I think most people within crypto, from what I've seen the sentiments, they think that he likely is as well. But I would say it's fairly evenly split between the innocents and unsures and guilty. Aside from that, I did do a little bit more of a search into this, and apparently the Joe Exotic himself only owns about 1%. About 1% of the Tiger coin, which isn't a lot. So it's not like a ton of money is going to him from this project anyway, from what I can see, when you can just consider 1%. And a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about this, right? It's contentious because Matt is even though he started as a general crypto YouTuber, he really built most of his following off of being a daily Dogecoin content creator. And to Matt's credit, he was really the first guy out there that was making daily Dogecoin content and really did end up drawing a lot of positive attention to Dogecoin all throughout that time, and continues to do so. But I can also understand people's perspective all of a sudden when this new fringe coin with a controversial figure tied to it just kind of comes on the scene. I can see how some people get confused and rattled and really don't care for it. So I can kind of see both sides in this thing. But I will say that Matt has been overall pretty transparent about it. And it just kind of comes down to if it rubs you the wrong way or not, if it's a big deal to you or not, if this is something that you think is a decent investment for you or not. And you know, my perspective is this, like, I actually respect people's opinions that are frustrated by this. Like, I get it. But I also think it's important, guys, to keep in mind that we don't spend the majority of our time on the giving our attention to the things that we have differences over and within the Doge community. I think it's important that we make sure overall that we're focusing on the things that we have in common, and that includes Matt Wallace, in my opinion. What are your thoughts, Nick?
Wow, that's a lot to take in. That was probably the most complex question I've ever been asked in my life. Let's start with the first thing. Is the Tiger King, Joseph Maldonado Passage, guilty of the crime that he supposedly committed? I don't really think so.
You mean in terms of the murder charge?
Yes, in terms of the murder.
Okay.
You know, he supposedly contracted a hitman who has the below his IQ is basically, he's like a convalescent. He didn't have the wherewithal to be able to do what he supposedly paid him to do, and there's very little evidence that he actually paid him to do it, and it's all wacky. Not to say, okay, so here's another thing you have to take into account. A lot of people who are anti or going against, let's just keep on the Tiger King thing, the Tiger King coin, are going at this route that Joe Exotic was an animal abuser. And to some extent that is true. He had way too many tigers on a very small parcel of land. I don't think he was purposefully harming animals, meaning I don't think he was a horrible, horrific guy on purpose. I think this is like a kind of a what do you call it? It's like a pack rat type of situation, but with animals. Like, this guy would just take in as many tigers as he possibly could, not thinking of, I have to feed these things and take care of these, and they're tigers. He had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tigers. It's insane. So, it's a nuanced story. The whole I find it all really fascinating. I love the show. I thought it was amazing. Yeah. So that is a point of contention. Like, if you don't trust that guy, which I'm not gonna be buying Tiger King myself.
Yeah.
And part of it is because I just don't I wouldn't trust Joe Exotic with my money.
Right.
I think he's a funny, hilarious dude. I'd love to hang out with him, but I wouldn't be loaning him $1 million or anything like that. So yeah, that's something you have to take into account. Now, on the topic of Matt Wallace, for those that hadn't followed Matt since before Doge took off, Matt had been posting content about many cryptos, and he had been doing that for a long time. I think that here's a problem. I think Matt went about supporting this BSC token totally the wrong way. And I think part of the issue right now is that so much of the community there's so much backlash against him, and he's such a young guy. He's got it in his head that instead of, letting the situation cool off and just moving on, he's instead deciding to double down, which is almost never the right decision. It's usually not the right choice. I think he probably could have, put out, his what do you want to call it? His backing of this project in a different way or in a different manner, and it might have gone over a lot better. But that being said, Matt is a young kid. And by the way, guys, he's a kid. He's not, he's not in his 30s or 40s. He doesn't have the life experience that, a later aged person has. So he's going to make mistakes. He's going to do stuff that not everyone is going to agree with. And he's going to lose and has lost a portion of his audience because of it. Now, if he feels like that it was the right move, that's fine. And he can do that. And more power to him. People are concerned about the look because of the broad and the big platform that he has. People are concerned that he is bringing a bad name to the Doge community because of how big he is. We have to remember, just like we used to say with Elon, when people were claiming that Elon was solely responsible for the Dogecoin market, Matt Wallace is not solely responsible for the Dogecoin market. Dogecoin is not Matt Wallace, and Matt Wallace is not Dogecoin. He, to some extent, does a really good job representing Doge most of the time.
Yeah, I agree.
But Dogecoin does not rest on his back. So, and nor should it. So I don't feel like Matt Wallace could come out tomorrow and say, Dogecoin is the worst crypto ever. I'm never supporting it ever again. Screw you guys. I'm out. Doge would still be Doge the next day. And we all have to keep that in mind. I am still friends with Matt.
Oh, me too.
I continue to root for Matt. And I hope that maybe he's listening to this. And maybe he reaches out. I'd love for Matt to reach out. I'd love to talk to Matt sometime. Because I think right now he might be... I know how hard he works. I know he's burnt out. He's probably flustered. He's probably being pulled in a million different directions. And I think that he just should pump the brakes a little bit. And I think that could do him a lot of good. And who knows? He could come back, and he clearly has the tools. Matt has the tools to boom communities. Like, he does know how to do it. But I think he's still a young guy who's finding his footing, and I wish him nothing but the best. And I hope things work out, and I'd like to see him do well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all your thoughts on that, Nick. Very interesting. Thank you for that. The bottom line to me is this: Matt genuinely thinks Joe Exotic's innocent. He wasn't paid or sponsored by Tiger Coin. He looked at the stats, he researched it, and he genuinely feels, I've talked to him personally about this because I was curious and I asked him hard questions. He genuinely feels that Tiger Coin's a good investment, long and short term. And that being said, I understand people not agreeing with it. I get it. I get it that people don't want to see too close of an association between Dogecoin and Tiger Coin. Personally, I think the focus of Doge's closest association should be Ethereum. That being said, if people want to invest in Tiger Coin, more power to them. And in fact, so far, Matt has proved to be correct in terms of market value on Tiger Coin. Tiger Coin has been going up exponentially. People that have been taking his advice on Tiger King so far anyway, have been doing quite well as a result. And as Matt's journey here switches gears, it's not going to be for everyone. It's not going to be for everyone. And if those people feel they just want to stop consuming his content and unfollow him for this new direction, I totally get that. Other people don't seem to mind so much. And I also noticed that his Twitter audience from his YouTube audience seems to be definitely seems to be distinctly different tones. He seems to get a lot more of a backlash on Twitter, and his YouTube audience seems to be a lot more generally supportive, and it doesn't get hung up on the differences too much. So basically, I say I don't really have much more to add on that. But guys, other than this, I don't think it's good for the Doge community to continuously get in heated squabbles about this. I don't see how that's beneficial. Matt, love it or hate the direction he's taking, he has been transparent about it. He may very well be even watching now. And he weighed in on our show. I don't think you were on it. I think I flew solo. Yeah, I flew solo, Nick, last time I was on, the night before last, right? Yeah, and Matt was watching, and Matt came in the chat, and to his credit, Matt said, hey, listen, I'm up $300,000 since I made this decision, and I was surprised he was that candid about it. And when I've watched him on his videos talk about it, he's been pretty blunt and pretty candid about it. That's either a trip that you don't mind or it's a trip that you disagree with. And I understand both perspectives on that people have on it. But one thing, can say he's been pretty upfront with about what he's doing with it and what he's gaining from it. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I'd like to say that there has been a lot of accusations volleyed at Matt that he was paid off by Tiger King to do this, essentially. Mm-hmm. And there's been tons of people have accused him of this, and that was like the main point of contention when this whole thing first popped off. Mm-hmm. However, there is no evidence of that,
no,
whatsoever. Matt has made his own decisions in his investments since day one.
Yes,
I wholeheartedly believe that Matt was not paid off by Tiger King Coin to do this.
I don't think so either.
If there's any kind of evidence that says other, I'd look at it, but I highly doubt that that's a thing. I really doubt that that's a thing. Mm-hmm. I will say this. Matt put out a tweet earlier. He might have taken it down. It was something about, if Tiger King reaches the market cap of I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was Shiba Inu. I think maybe. If Tiger King Coin matches the market cap of Shiba Inu, you could turn $2,000 into $200,000. I don't know I can't remember. I'm looking for the tweet now. I think he might have deleted it. Mm-hmm. That was my only real beef with the whole situation, in the sense that I don't like giving people false hope, Mm-hmm. And I think it's disingenuous to be like, well, if you people look at me and they say, oh, I put $10,000 into Dogecoin and I made $3 million on it. Well, yeah, if you put, you can put $1 into the lottery and win $1 million. You know what I mean? Like, anything is possible. What I not fear, but what I'm most concerned about is looking at the graph right now. Tiger King coin is up hundreds of percent from just, for the day, and thousands of percent since its inception. It's a house of every crypto that is at all-time highs, doesn't matter what it is, Bitcoin or otherwise, is a house of cards. The higher the house is built, the greater the possibility that, and it's not even a possibility, it's a guarantee that house of cards is going to come tumbling down. So the higher the price of this token rises, the greater of a chance, if you're a new investor to it, if you're just buying in right now, that you're going to be left holding the bag. That's my only issue with this whole thing. To Matt's defense, he started telling people about this, I think over a week ago now.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not like he definitely was talking about this way before it took off.
Right. And he was giving people a heads up, like, hey, if you get in now, this is obviously going to be the most advantageous time, in my opinion, by far. And he did say, in a recent video, I heard him say something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, I'm not going to, all of a sudden, I'm not going to suddenly pull my investment out, because he does have for the market cap of this coin, he is one of the whales. He said, I'm not pulling, I will not pull out suddenly. I will keep my audience abreast to exactly what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. And he even said on one of his lives recently, he said, if I think this thing is going to go sideways, I'll let you guys know. Now, I'm willing to take him at face value, at this point. And the good thing about time and crypto is we always find out the answers. So the more time goes on, we will see how this shakes out, how this shapes up, and how Matt handles it in the long term of it. Scott Herforth coming in with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate your support. Great analysis of the Matt situation, guys. Additionally, the market dropping is causing people to want a whipping boy, and Matt's timing of his T-King endorsement made him an easy target for scapegoating. I think that's a very good point, Scott. I think what we have here is just an unfortunate timing of events in terms of people being really upset about this, because already the natives are restless, okay? Dogecoin is not doing well. Overall, the market is not doing well. Most of the people that are into crypto anyway, that watch the show, are very bullish on Doge. Why? Because I'm a very bullish Doge-centric content creator. Duh. So, when the guy who is the number one by views and popularity, the number one Doge-centric content creator, comes out of left field with a Tiger King coin, when Doge is doing very poorly and the market's doing very poorly, it automatically gives people a reason, like, it's this kind of behavior is why is Doge is doing so poorly, and will do even worse. And so I think right now people are just looking for answers, right? And we've seen this in the past. This isn't anything new in terms of that, where whenever the market does really poorly, people tend to get a bit more touchy. People tend to get a bit more angry about things and looking for, searching for things to attribute it to you. Go ahead.
And a great question. In the crypto market and crypto investors as a whole are so ADD and to that could be to a good thing or a bad thing. But the question I'll ask to the general community at large is, a year from now, regardless of what Doge is doing, a year from now, will you even remember this? Chances are probably not. I've kept a memory going for 7+ years now on Dogecoin, and resurfaced my wallet, brought my Twitter back to life, rehashed years and years and years of crypto market movements, but to the average, investor or retailer, their mind is really set, especially if they're on Twitter. Oh geez. Their mind is really set on the day-to-day. Will you remember this in a couple weeks even? How about a couple months? I guarantee you in a few months, no one is going to be talking about this. So just keep that in mind, guys. Like, will this even matter in a while? I can almost guarantee it won't. But that being said, Matt puts a lot of pressure on himself. And it seems like I don't know if he's a masochist or what, but he's stacking up layers and layers and layers of pressure. Now, Tiger King coin is, that's a pressure that's on his back. And, he might be up hundreds of thousands of dollars, and good for him that he is. But if something happens with that, he has to explain to a whole community why it happened, and so I don't envy the guy. I don't envy the guy. Monetarily or whatever, we're probably doing similarly well. But I don't I try the money that I've made through crypto, I've tried to de-stress my life. And Matt seems to be doing the exact opposite of that. So,
well, I think being friends with Matt, I think in part it's part of his personality where he likes to stir the pot a little bit, and he likes to shake things up. And there 100%. is a percentage of his personality that has troll tendencies, and it does make for entertainment, right? So in a sense, this is surprising, but it's not, in my opinion. So certain people, it's going to rub the wrong way. Certain people find this whole thing, this whole controversy, rather trite. One thing is for sure, guys. One thing is for sure. I can guarantee you, when we hit another bull market, and we will hit another bull market, and we will hit another Doge bull run, people aren't going to be thinking about this shit at all.
100%.
All this stuff that we're quivering about, all these back and forths going right now on social media about all this. Once we hit a bull run, it's all going to fall by the wayside, and people are going to forget why they were so upset to begin with. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Low Roller Scratcher just commented, no one now is talking about the crypto crash last March. 100%.
Really good point. Really good
100%.
point.
I love the crypto world and I hate the crypto world. I am I have a crazy memory. But a lot, I attribute this to age too. I feel like a lot of crypto, and I hope no one in the chat takes this the wrong way. If you're older and you're in crypto, that's awesome. But I would say a large percentage of retail investors are in their 20s. And I'm sorry, but if you're in your 20s, you're a kid still, in my eyes. And you still have so many life lessons to learn, God, the things I was doing in my early 20s, I was, that's when I was getting into crypto. And, it set me on the path that I'm on now, but I was also causing a lot of trouble. and screwing my life up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, just keep in mind that a lot of people in crypto are very young, they're very forgetful, and things will pass. This too shall pass.
Tuco, I didn't overlook your super chat. We just got caught up here, but thank you, Tuco, for your $5 super chat. Much appreciated. Tuco asks, is the crypto market still being manipulated, or is there something else going on? Do you have any thoughts on this, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I was watching a video from Matt earlier today, and as far as when we were speaking about manipulation earlier, a month or two back, that manipulation was coming from China. Now, as Matt kind of really well stated it, that manipulation from China is now built into the market. And I talked about this on the show a while back.
Yes.
That the Chinese can only pull the Chinese trick so many times before the rest of the world catches on.
Yes.
I think the crypto face, and to his he coined this term, I did not. Crypto face, the investor streamer guy.
Yep.
For years he's been calling it the Chinese Ching Chong, which is like the term for every year when China does this market manipulation. That pattern that they've been running, the strategy that China has been running for years and years now, I think it's getting less and less effective. And I think probably within the next 2 years or 3 years, it won't have any impact at all, because so many people have had their eyes open to it that they know what to do when it happens. Before, it could really affect the markets, but now you've got so many people out here waiting for that opportunity to come through and greatly taking advantage of it. So I think there is still a bit of market manipulation going on, but not anywhere near to the extent that we saw just a little while back.
Yeah, great answer there. Speaking of which, something that I wanted to dovetail nicely into that. This article comes courtesy of Reuters. Senator Warren, our friend Elizabeth Warren again, warns of cryptocurrency risks. Presses SEC oversight authority. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren on Thursday warned of the growing risks posed to consumers and financial markets by the highly opaque and volatile cryptocurrency market, and blasted its lack of regulation as unsustainable. Warren, a Democrat who chairs the Senate Banking Committee's subcommittees on economic policy, also raised her concerns in a letter to Securities and Exchange Commission's Chair Gary Gensler on Wednesday, in an effort to that could help lay the groundwork for legislation to regulate the fast-growing market. Cryptocurrencies reached a record capitalization of $2 trillion in April, but the U.S. oversight of the market remains patchy. Trying to find what other meat in this article would be of relevance. Warren, when asked, I don't know if you pronounce his name Gensler or Gensler, to outline the ways in which cryptocurrency exchanges may be undermining the SEC's mission to ensure that markets are operating in a fair, orderly, and efficient manner, whether additional protections were needed for investors, and whether international regulatory coordination was required. The lack of regulation to provide basic investor protections is unsustainable, she added. To a point, to a degree, I do think she has a relevant point, but also keep in mind, this is a woman who only a few weeks ago stated that she inferred that the only cryptocurrency that should be legal is one that is backed by the Fed. So, with that in mind, listening to anything she has to say going forward in regard to cryptocurrency seems rather tainted. That the only cryptocurrency that she would support is one that's fully centralized by the Federal Reserve. To me, that kind of just it's not cryptocurrency at that point, you know. And also listening to her talk about this market, she is either being patently disingenuous or she's a bit ignorant on the issues of the crypto market, or a bit of both. I'm not quite sure which one it is more of at this time. But here we are in a situation where we have noticed in the past, Nick, that anytime our own government, prominent members of our own government blast cryptocurrency, that does have a negative effect on the market. Now, the bad news is it does have a negative impact on the market whenever that does happen. The good news is it never seems to last more than 48 hours tops. So could we be seeing a bit of that happening now, affecting what's going on in the market now? Her sentiments on this? Yeah, it could be playing. It could be just another thing piling on right now. But what's also interesting about Elizabeth Warren is she is very tight with a lot of hedge funders. She has received enormous kickbacks, and you look at the legislation that she writes, it's full of double standards that pretty much are very favorable to her hedge fund buddies. So it kind of also her concerns about consumer protections and regulation for the everyday person in relation to the cryptocurrency market, that all rather rings hollow, given her history and relationship with Wall Street. What do you say?
Are we talking about the 72-year-old Elizabeth Warren who lied about being a Native American?
Yeah,
that Elizabeth Warren.
I think she's 1/100th or something. But yeah, something like that.
I just wanted to make sure we were talking about the same Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, I think this old broad is completely out of touch with the digital currencies. The SEC isn't doing crap about nothing. Listen, there's so many things the SEC should be looking into and isn't. Part of it is in the crypto. I mean, I'm not going to say that the crypto world as a whole is perfect. There are tons of issues. I think the SEC, rug pulls and different things that go on within the U.S. that the SEC certainly should look into. They've got. There is, more than enough to keep them busy, just investigating stuff like, Save the Kids or, things like that. I don't believe with how institutions have been investing in cryptocurrencies in the past year or several, that there is any way that you're going to see any type of steep regulations fall into the crypto markets within the U.S. I don't see it happening. There's too much, just like the hedge funds who pay off these senators and congressmen to get the, bills pushed their way. There is no chance that they're going to shut off a $1 trillion faucet. There's just no way. And to prove that point, this is why we have seen almost no action by the SEC in any way or any which way or the other. Could there be regulation down the line? Sure, but that would take voting from Congress, and we know how government works. It takes years in multiple administrations to really get anything done, and if it gets done at all. So we see that these kind of news headlines come out, and that probably has some effect on what the market is doing right now, and it shouldn't. But there's people who take advantage of small stories like this to, manipulate the markets. And I would imagine that a fair amount of those ne'er-do-wells are coming from outside of the U.S. And we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But I personally, I don't put any credence into it. And I've stated my opinion on governmental term limits before. I think these people who are 70, 80, 90 years old shouldn't be at the helm of a digital new age. I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Right on. Josh Randell disavows coming with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Appreciate your continued support. Good to see you. Josh asks, why all the dip stress on Twitter? It's just another Thursday to a crypto OG. Yeah, essentially that's what Nick and I were saying throughout this whole show. So well stated. Josh Randell disavows, and thank you for that. Something I thought I had while listening to you go off on that is, the moment we can effectively teach our technologically out of touch politicians to make money in crypto is probably the moment that they'll stop trying to pee in our fruit punch. It's just I think a lot of this is just them not really knowing how it works, and furthermore, them not knowing how to capitalize on it. I think the more we can teach our haplessly out of touch political class how it actually works and where it can actually benefit them, I would think that their attitudes wouldn't be so sour. Let me see. What else did I have on the roster here? Oh, a bit of good news. This is not a news story, but it was good to see Bazinga. Bazinga covered this last night, and the headline is Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin tells Dogecoin bull Gary, "I love the Doge every day." So, co-founder Vitalik Buterin, in a talk with longtime Dogecoin bull Gary Lachance and Pussy Riot's Nadia Tolokonnikova. Do you remember Pussy Riot? That was
I do.
Yeah,
They were a riot.
They were a riot. For those of you who don't know, and sorry for the language, that's just the name of their band. I think it was either 3 or 4 young ladies in Russia that have a punk band. I think they're still together, called P Riot. And so Vitalik Buterin was on a panel talking with Gary Lachance and the lead singer of P Riot, Nadia, who also said she loves Dogecoin as well. So in a sense, this is news, because reading this article now, I didn't know that the lead singer of Pussy Riot was also very bullish on Dogecoin too. So that is new news to me. So Buterin said, when asked about Dogecoin in this panel interview that just transpired, he says, "I love the Doge," adding, "I love the Doge every day." I love that. So who is Gary Lachance? We talked about Gary Lachance a couple days ago. Gary Lachance is a fellow Dogecoin millionaire to Nick here, who is also one. And he's also the co-founder of something called Decentralized Dance Party, which is that game that we talked about, the Million Doge Disco, where it's kind of a game that is just released that operates a lot like Pokemon Go, where people use their phones. And he has embedded 1 million Dogecoin within this game. Now, these are Dogecoins that are worth quite a bit because they were purchased in 2014. So if you play this game long enough, you'll be able to dig up some of this Doge. So that is a pretty ambitious project. The game created by Lachance is an amalgamation of NFTs, Dogecoin and Pokemon Go like augmented reality, and Tamagotchi, virtual pets that rose to the heights of popularity during the 1990s. Dogecoin co-creator Billy Marcus, our friend Billy, tweeted an excerpt of the chat between Gary and Buterin and posted, "I like ETH and Vitalik Buterin." So this was just a nice little article here. A little nice uplifter for those of us in Dogeland. What do you say, Nick?
Yeah, I love the whole deal. I as I mentioned on a previous show, I remember the creator of the Doge Disco from back in the day. I think we conversed a little bit back in the old Reddit years, and obviously, Vitalik is going to be a huge. Vitalik might be more important to Dogecoin than Elon is. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that like hyperbolic. Like this, Vitalik may be one of the most important people outside of Dogecoin to Dogecoin. He has some of the greatest connections in crypto, if not the greatest connections in crypto. Mm-hmm. He's much like Elon, he's a genius level IQ kind of guy. The only knock that I have against Vitalik is I wish that he would pay me to come be his personal trainer 24/7, because he is
he's a slender man. He's a slender man.
He's a slender man, and there would be nothing that would make my heart warmer than for me to get Vitalik freaking yoked. I would love that opportunity. So Vitalik, if you ever listen to this, man, I follow you on Twitter. You can follow me back, DM me. I will take as much time out of my not hectic life to live with you for 3 months, and we will get you seriously jacked.
I love that proposition. That would be another great reality series. Vitalik Buterin goes under the 3-month program to get jacked.
The problem is he travels too much.
He travels quite a bit. Yeah, it's hard to stay on a good diet and workout routine when you do that much traveling.
I'm telling you, man, I can make it happen.
I know you can. I know if anyone can make it happen, it's you.
There might be some chemical there will be some chemical enhancements involved, but we will get him way jacked. I can just I've gotten used to the years and years of doing this. I can look at someone and I can see their hormone levels. I can see what's messed up in their body just by taking a look at someone. If I can look at their skin, I can look at their eyes, I can look at their body composition, and just see okay, this needs to be done. We need to balance this out. We need to up that. We need to lower that. Did you ever watch The Boys on Amazon?
Yes.
Yeah. So Homelander, he has one of his abilities is he can sense a human's blood pressure. He can tell if your blood pressure's high just by looking at you.
Yeah, that's a pretty keen superpower to have, actually, more than you would think you initially think on the face of it.
I have that superpower, but with health.
Okay. Awesome.
I can look at somebody and be like, this is wrong. We got to fix this.
Nick,
I did it with my friend, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, my buddy. He used to be my training partner. He lives a bit away from me. He was actually traveling 3 hours a day to work out with me for 6 months, and we got him super jacked.
Yeah.
And he came to me and he was like, "Man, my life." I used to date his sister way back in the day, and he's like, "Man, my life's all screwed up. My body's all screwed up." I'm like, "All right." I could tell by looking at him, something is wrong. I got his blood work in, exactly what I suspected. We fixed it, got him in the gym. 3 months later, he was deadlifting 400 pounds. Never worked out in his life.
Wow, amazing progress. Truckin' All Day coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Truckin' All Day. Appreciate you, man. Crypto.com sponsors the UFC for $175 million, 10-year deal. Yeah, I did read about that. That's pretty major, and I can only figure that is really going to add just to bringing the whole market of cryptocurrency more to the forefront of the populace. A 10-year deal with Crypto.com with the UFC. It also goes to show how optimistic that Crypto.com thinks about its future for it to be around and relevant in 10 years from now. So we're going to see a lot of Crypto.com action in the Octagon, on the Octagon floor, I'm sure. Let's see what's going on in the chat here with you guys. Let's get a Twitter campaign to get Nick to be Vitalik's personal trainer. Hashtag get Vitalik jacked, Scott says.
I'll retweet it. You guys start that hashtag. I will literally, if somebody posts it and tags me, I will retweet it and post it myself every day until we get some sort of response.
Balls to the wall, 7-1 says. Yes. Marcus Mallory says, Steve read it off Hados, and it seemed like complete FUD by anti-crypto fanatics trying to push for regulating something that's meant for no regulation. Yeah, Marcus, we were talking about that, especially particularly in relation to Senator Warren, and that kind of seems to be the general sentiment of many of our politicians, where it's interesting because they're trying to, it seems to be, they're trying to scare investors out of great opportunities, number one. Number two, trying to replace cryptocurrency with what they call a Federal Reserve-backed cryptocurrency, which to me seems rather oxymoronic. But that's where they're trying to lead the conversation. And of course, I think it's only a matter of time before our own government here in the U.S. Creates a government digital currency. I don't think that's too far off either. We're already seeing this, obviously, in China.
It'll be so popular, too.
That's the thing, too. It's going to be such a dud. I mean, what fun is that? It's just kind of like, it's like you and your friends are in the treehouse smoking cigarettes, and then someone comes along and is like, you boys smoking these cigarettes is against the law, but guess what? You get these candy cigarettes.
Yeah.
Not that I'm endorsing. Not that I'm endorsing smoking, but
you heard it here first, people. Steven endorses Camels.
No.
9 out of 10 Stevens recommend the smooth flavor of Camel.
I'm not a smoker. I'm not endorsing smoking, but I think I think you guys get the gist of the analogy. Let me see here. So, one last story I had here, Nick. This comes courtesy of the Washington Post. Bitcoin miners break new ground in Texas. A state hailed as the state is hailed as the new cryptocurrency capital. Lone Star State is at the center of global attention to produce Bitcoin. Out of Rockdale, Texas, Chad Harris, the CEO of Whinstone and Company, the operator of the largest crypto mining group in North America, remembers one of the last times Texas's electrical power became a problem, or power problem became his electrical power problem. We just got a text saying the power grid needs support. Please curtail now. Harris said while standing outside the company's mining center at an old Alcoa aluminum facility about 6 miles outside of the central Texas town. More crypto farms want to move into areas as China, believed to be the nation with the most crypto miners, moves to make severe restrictions on local Bitcoin mining and trading, among other limitations, ordering power companies not to sell them power. Shenzhen-based BIT Mining said in May that it plans to invest more than $25 million in a Texas data center, while Beijing based server firm Bitmain is already modernizing the old aluminum plant across the street from Weinstone's Rockdale area facility. It's not just happening near Rockdale. Peter Thiel-backed crypto mining firm Layer 1 Technologies opened last year in a plant near Peyote in West Texas. One good thing about crypto mining is it's adding flexibility to the system, said Peter Crampton, former board member of ERCOT, a nonprofit that's charged with managing. We don't need all the details. But the problem is it's consuming real resources doing a function that has no value. Oh, Peter Crampton. Peter Crampton. It sounds a lot like Peter Frampton, but crappy. Peter Crampton. Peter Crapton. How about that? So, to make a long story short here, wow, this is a long article. I keep scanning and scanning and scanning. Okay, I'll just sum it up with this. Our issue here is not getting enough capital to build faster, said David Schwartz, vice president of Weinstone. We virtually had an endless supply of power where other companies are competition. The issue is scaling up to power. Yeah, so obviously, I think this is something overall that's going to be an incredible boom and great for the crypto economy in America. The overwhelming majority of crypto mining facilities and the entire planet will be located in Lone Star, Texas. I think this is overall going to have a great effect on the market in the U.S. and beyond. And another thing too, I think that's really getting overlooked in this conversation is how quickly the miners are adapting to more energy efficient green mining practices and how quickly that's evolving and shaping up. I think it's a really large number, Nick. It's close to 60% of all Bitcoin mining facilities and Bitcoin mining companies have already converted to much more energy efficient, much more greener ways of mining Bitcoin. And I only see this, and obviously we know something like Dogecoin only takes a fraction of the carbon footprint, a fraction of the energy that Bitcoin takes to mine. But overall, I think that the energy consumption issue and how it relates to the environment in terms of crypto is a bit overblown, especially seeing how much energy and resources it takes to, in our current system in fiat, even our most, even under the most high energy consuming cryptocurrency on the market, which by definition is Bitcoin right now, even up against Bitcoin doesn't take nearly as much energy to produce as our current system and our fiat system. That's not to say we don't want to do better, because we should keep striving to do better, and we are. Your thoughts, Nick?
I find it absolutely hilarious that the center of U.S. cryptos is becoming Texas. I think, we look at like a lot of games and like movies and like futuristic, like dystopian places. I think it would be so funny, that like the Wild West cowboys of Texas are all turning into crypto miners. I just envision like this wide open plain with like a shack, full of like ASICs and like a guy out front like chewing on straw, like with his hat down.
Yeah.
Like, yep, just trying to get my electrons up so I can get my hash rate going.
Yeah.
It's a funny world that we live in. Cowboys are being replaced with digital cowboys, and your crypto mine ain't good if it doesn't have the solar power attached to it, and I find the whole thing, I think it's good. It's good for the U.S. because we're contributing more to the global hash rate. I think it's good in the sense that we produce a lot of these solar cells, a lot of which comes from, Elon's company. I just think it's a win-win. I think China really has dropped. China had a stranglehold on the global hash rate for so long, and we saw what happened when one of their mines got flooded I think it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Caused massive problems. Global distribution of the hash rate for Bitcoin, that's important. That's what prevents attacks. That's what prevents issues. It should be distributed globally, and it shouldn't just be controlled. I'm not saying America should be the number one contributor. I think it should be distributed throughout the globe. But for many years now, the manufacturing cost and electricity costs made it not advantageous to mine in the U.S. But that might be changing. That time might be ending, and I think that's a great thing. And maybe one day I'll be able to take a trip down to Texas and see myself a crypto mine.
Luminal says in the chat, people hated on Elon for his comments on Bitcoin energy consumption, but look at the change. Talk about contentious topics and influencer actions. This is an example of using it for good. So kind of in summary, I guess the last thing I just wanted to touch on here with Nick is this a market crypto crash? In my opinion, this is not a crash, guys. This is more, I guess I would call it a breakout to the downside. Now, there are bearish flags going on right now, but that's not synonymous with a crash. Could this change and evolve into a crash? Sure. But as things stand right now, this is far from a crash. So anyone contending that it is either isn't really knowledgeable in what they're talking about, or is purposely trying to spread a lot of unnecessary fear and concern about the crypto market. Your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, clearly, Steven, we're not in a crash. We actually I just scaled down my trading view. Normally, as most people know, I usually keep my trading view set to 2-hour bars. I just scaled down to 1-hour bars. We got 2 green 1-hour bars, so
yep.
We had 2 hours of positive movement. But overall, are we in a crash? I don't think so. Crashes are much more dramatic. Are we in a correction? Outside of a phase of consolidation? Sure, yeah. But I would not label this a crash. We've got something very at least in the Dogecoin world, we've got something very positive to look forward to. Tesla earnings call close to the end of the month. Very, very important to be on the lookout for this. I kept telling people, watch price action as we get closer and closer to this earnings call. I don't know if there's any insider information that's out there that would signal that Tesla has Dogecoin on their books. I have a feeling that something like that would get leaked. If it wasn't already going to be, if that announcement might be made ahead of the earnings call. So we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But until end of July happens, I'm not making any predictions on crash or pump or one way or the other. I just want to see how it pans out.
Yeah, and I think that's wise. That's wise to do. And I think that's I'm kind of doing the same thing as well. But that could yield some very interesting results. Well, Nick, I think that's about sums it up. I think we covered a lot of things and, saved the world. And is there anything else that you on your mind you'd like to add?
I think we covered a lot tonight, Stephen. I'm very happy. And could I pop? I'm not going to steal the whole show from him, but could I pop in for a little bit tomorrow with Upshot?
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
Cool.
Can do.
Here.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you haven't already subscribed, I would like to personally invite you to subscribe to the channel. let's just keep growing this thing. I do my best. I work hard to bring you guys my perspective that you just can't really hear anywhere else, and brought to you in a way that's unique that you don't get anywhere else online in relation to crypto. But this is also kind of a general podcast show that isn't just limited to crypto, and I try to bring you guys the most interesting guests that I can find, not only in this space but in a few other spaces as well. Speaking of which, I have confirmed a very, very special guest. I don't have a date with her yet, but I have confirmed with her booking agent that Carol Roth will be a special featured guest in the show. I'm very excited about having Carol Roth. It's a big guest for the show. For those of you who aren't familiar with her, she is an author, and she recently came out with an excellent book called The War on Small Business: How the Government Used the Pandemic to Crush the Backbone of America. It's a New York Times bestseller. So I cannot wait to have Carol Roth on here. And she's all about crypto, all about decentralization, decentralized currency. So we're going to talk with her about her latest book, and obviously crypto, and whatever else comes to mind. We'll just see where the conversation takes us. But really looking forward to having Carol on the show. And also, don't forget, tomorrow night, guys, it's Upshot, the original OG Doge Father. Be here or be square. That's 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Guys, thanks so much for joining Nick Ballz and I. This has been a fantastic show, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Until next time, this is Steele and Dogecoin millionaire Nick Ballz signing out.